Donald Trump and the Republican Party's ambitions about the 2026 midterm elections were just dealt a major blow with a shocking announcement, and Marjorie Taylor Greene might be stepping in to make it considerably worse. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, got to set some context up for this. So it was reported a couple of weeks ago, as Mediaite and others have discussed, Marjorie Taylor Greene is reportedly mulling a 2026 Senate run in Georgia because she's a Georgia representative and thinks she would crush all but one challenger. Okay, we're going to set the stage for this. Greene is reportedly considering a run for the U.S. Senate in Georgia next fall, as long as she does not have to face Republican Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, according to a Thursday report published by the Daily Caller. You got that? Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Republican congresswoman, one of their biggest fundraisers, as deranged as she is thinking, okay, I'm going to run and I will crush everyone in a primary, except maybe the current incumbent popular Republican Governor Brian Kemp. Okay, so Republicans really want Kemp to run in 2026 against Democratic incumbent Jon Ossoff, who's popular, but Georgia's a swing state. It went for Trump. It tends to lean Republican. So, yeah, this could be something that Republicans pick up if Kemp runs. Except Kemp just announced after weeks of bated breath that he is not running. He will not be seeking the Senate seat. Politico was the one who broke the story. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp passes on running for Senate. The popular governor looked like a prime recruit against Senator Jon Ossoff. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp will not run for the Senate in 2026, according to three people familiar with his decision. By the way, he has since subsequently publicly confirmed this. Okay, we'll get to that. Kemp, a popular Republican, looked like the most formidable potential challenger to Jon Ossoff, a first-term Democrat. Without Kemp in the race, Republicans may face an unpredictable primary that could include divisive candidates like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Ossoff is still likely to face a difficult race in an historically conservative state that Trump carried last November. But I'm actually with Marjorie Taylor Greene on this. I think that without Brian Kemp, she is going to sail through the Republican primary if she chooses to run. She has the name recognition. She's a firebrand in the Republican Party. She has the fundraising bona fides. She's close with Trump. And the problem, as we've highlighted before, this is the paradox of the MAGA movement. You have to be the most maximally MAGA you possibly can be to win a primary. Who's going to out-MAGA Marjorie Taylor Greene? Probably not anybody. Brian Kemp was the only establishment figure objectively more popular than Greene that Republicans would vote for, and he's bowing out. So this will no doubt embolden Marjorie Taylor Greene to run for the Senate. And again, Kemp confirmed that he will not run for the U.S. Senate, igniting a GOP scramble in Georgia. Governor Brian Kemp will not run for the U.S. Senate in 2026, dashing the hopes of Republicans in Georgia and Washington who saw him as their strongest shot to unseat Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff. Kemp told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution of his decision Monday after a months-long pressure campaign from state and national GOP leaders. Quote, after these discussions, I've decided that being on the ballot next year is not the right decision for me and my family, he said. The governor said he told Donald Trump and senior Senate Republicans that he would help ensure, quote, we have a strong Republican nominee who can win next November and ultimately be a conservative voice in the U.S. Senate who will put hardworking Georgians first. Quote, I am confident we will be united in that important effort, said Kemp, who could deploy a nationwide political network and extensive fundraising machine behind another contender. Quote, and I look forward to electing the next generation of leaders up and down the ballot here in the Peach State who will keep our state and nation headed in the right direction in 2026 and beyond. I will remind you that Brian Kemp, even though he is a conservative and I would argue quite cowardly in some respects, also, be fair to him, defended the notion that President Biden won the 2020 election, which is less a notion than it is fact, okay? And that earned Donald Trump's wrath. He's like, how dare you admit that Biden won? How dare you not help me try to overturn the results in Georgia? Kemp didn't do that. He didn't fold and was routinely, regularly insulted by Donald Trump for his efforts, okay? So I don't know if that played a role in this. Like, you know what? Screw this. I'm not going to do you a solid. I don't know if he's just literally tired. I have no idea. But it is official. He's not seeking re-election. And it's true. that Kemp was the strongest contender to beat Ossoff. They were within the margin of error, according to most polls, but many polls had Kemp as the favorite. So, at least as of now, Kemp stood the strongest chance by far of kicking Ossoff out of the Senate. Now, it's very likely, if he chooses to run, to be Marjorie Taylor Greene against Ossoff. And that's not looking good, okay? I have no doubt that if she runs and Trump will almost certainly endorse her, she will win the primary, and I expect she will lose to Ossoff. But maybe she'll choose not to run. Maybe they'll talk her out of it. NBC had a report, though, about the Senate map, and this, of course, predates Kemp's decision to withdraw from the race, again, clearing the field for Marjorie Taylor Greene, at least on paper. But it's also interesting because it talks about the reliance of the parties on governors, ex-governors in particular, including my state, North Carolina. The battle for Senate takes shape with both parties waiting on governors to boost their chances. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, a Republican, hasn't decided yet on a Senate run. Again, he has since decided. And former North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, a Democrat, won't decide for a few months. The fight for the Senate in 2026 is beginning to take shape, with more candidates launching campaigns in recent days and additional announcements expected in the coming weeks. But both parties are still waiting to see if they can convince a governor to try to flip one of their top targeted states next year. Democrats will have to reach into GOP territory to net 4 seats they need to flip the chamber, while also defending competitive seats they currently hold in Georgia, Michigan, and elsewhere. Republicans, meanwhile, are looking to grow their 53-47 majority in next year's elections while defending blue-leaning Maine, battleground North Carolina, and some redder states. It's no surprise that both parties are eyeing governors as top recruits, since they have proved they can win statewide races and come with strong personal brands and fundraising bases. Though, as some recent governors have learned, past wins do not translate always to Senate victories. And again, it goes into the Ossoff situation, which we just explained. While the GOP is eager to take on Ossoff, the party's field has been frozen while Brian Kemp weighs whether to jump into the race. Again, he has since decided he will not do so. Democrats, meanwhile, are waiting on former Governor Roy Cooper to decide whether to take on one of their top targets, GOP Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina. Democrats have not won a Senate race in that state since 2008, but former Governor Roy Cooper, who could not run for re-election last year due to term limits, is seen as a strong recruit with proven statewide appeal. But Cooper's going to keep Democrats waiting a little while longer. Morgan Jackson, a Cooper advisor, said the former governor has not made a decision on a Senate run, and that Cooper said he will not make a decision until he finishes a fellowship at Harvard at the end of May. Meanwhile, former Democratic Representative Wiley Nickel launched his Senate campaign on Wednesday. On the prospect that Cooper could run, Nickel told Spectrum News, quote, "We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I do hope Governor Cooper runs. Governor Cooper was a very effective governor, a very popular governor, and Tom Tillis is vulnerable, and we're going to need to bring our best and our most popular to defeat him. And taking Tillis out of this fight would go a long way. Number one, because he sucks, right? This is a guy who pretends occasionally to be moderate, but he's basically diet MAGA. Getting him out of the Senate would make the Senate 1 percentage point less hypocritical, and it would allow Governor Cooper to use his incredible talents in a way that would help the Democratic Party. I think it's a great idea. And most polls, at least preliminarily, had Cooper favored over Tillis. That could change, obviously, and there's no guarantee that Cooper will run, but this is something that we need to cross our fingers and hope happens, that Cooper will make the exact opposite decision of Brian Kemp and say, hell yeah, I'm running. And who knows, maybe that would eventually inspire Kemp to say, you know what, I had another talk with a family, I am running in Georgia, right? This isn't like he's signing a magical contract. Republican politicians lie more than Democratic politicians, so it wouldn't be a total shock for Brian Kemp to come down, 6 months down the road and say, oh shit, Roy Cooper's running in North Carolina. I got to flip Georgia. I am running. But as of this moment, Brian Kemp just made a decision which has no doubt frustrated and terrified other Republican lawmakers, including Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who took Mitch McConnell's place, Mike Johnson, Donald Trump as well. It clears the field for Marjorie Taylor Greene to sweep the Republican primaries in Georgia and lose a crushing defeat, a crushing race to Democratic incumbent Jon Ossoff. And the cherry on top of all of this is that Governor Roy Cooper may decide to run for the Senate in North Carolina and kick out Tom Tillis. Fingers crossed, folks. There's some potential silver linings here. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.